Okay, so in this class, let us try to understand, the real use of an interface. Okay, so for example, now think, that here we have a very simple UI or console application, and let us say now I'm going to go and add a simple class library here. So basically, this application is customer management system. Okay, think about this application is a customer management system. So there are different types of customer, like let us say you have a simple customer, right? Then you have a gold customer, right? You have a discounted customer. So you basically have different types of customer. Okay, and they have their different logic, to validate or to do calculations. Now what you want is, and this application over here, this console application over here references this customer. Okay, so for now what I'll do is I will just say a public void calculate, let us say. Okay, so in this, when you invoke this, it will be like console.writeLine simple customer. Fine. Okay, I'm not writing too many logic in this. And in the same way, you can have discounted customer, right? So probably over here you will say, okay, this class here actually does calculation by customer discounted. Okay, now what you want is, you want to reference this class library in your UI. Now at this moment, this UI is console application, but it can be a WinForm, it can be MVC or whatever, right? So over here I'm going to say customer, right? And depending on situation, I will either create the object of discounted customer, barabar, d is equal to new discounted customer, or I will either create the object of simple customer. Okay. Now what do you mean by a good software architecture? Okay, क्या होता है good software architecture? Tell me. When do you know कि yes, this software architecture is good? Not minimize the code. When you do changes at one place, the other places should not get affected too much. Because if you see, when your application goes into maintenance, right, at that time the real test of software architecture happens. So at that time, if you change at one place and you are changing at 10 places, that means there is a real problem with the way that architecture is designed. Okay. Now in this case, if you see, in this situation, if you see, when I add a new customer type over here, I would love to see that I don't change too many things in my code, in my console application, right? Okay. So at this moment, you can see that whenever I add a new type, I have to reference it here. So definitely this is a bad architecture, and that's where exactly interfaces come into picture. Interfaces are just definitions. What is the solution for this? If you ask me, the solution for this problem is that it is as follows. It is that this console application, when he looks at this customer, right, when he is looking at this customer library, he should think in an abstract way, in a generic way. Means when he is looking at that customer library, he should not think कि पीछे there is a gold customer, are we getting, there is a silver customer, or there's a discounted customer. He should just see, okay, there is a customer. If your console application is looking in that way to that customer, then you achieve decoupling. Then yes, it is possible. So that means there should be some kind of a third party in between who will help you to do such kind of abstraction. And that's what exactly interface does. In the basic use of interface is decoupling, decoupling and decoupling. Okay, so I'm going to go and add a new project here, which will just say definition. So this is just interface customer. In this, I will have nothing. I will say, okay, this is interface customer, I customer, and in this I have just calculate. Okay, now anybody who looks at this customer, right, he does not know, okay, at the back end of the customer there is a gold customer, or there's a discounted customer, or there is a lead, or there is what, anybody who looks at this says that, okay, there is I customer. So what will happen is, then yes, then I'm not worried on this side what is happening, right? So good. So this is the first step. Okay, fine. So I go to my console application and I add a reference of iCustomer. And definitely, this iCustomer has to be also be implemented, by our classes, right? So remember, this interfaces are like a contract. It's a contract between two parties, who say that when change happens at your end, it should not change at my end. Okay, it's like a contract. Okay. So I go here to my interface. I go to my this one, and over here I say that okay, using I'm sorry. Oh gosh. Using interface customer, right? And over here I'll say okay, this is iCustomer. He also implements iCustomer. So they are all following the contract. They are saying that yes, when new types are added, we don't want to disturb console application. Fine. And I'll just go and build this. Let us see if there are any errors. Build progress and subsequent. Okay, good. And over here what I will do is in the UI I will say, see, now I don't want to point sometimes to discounted customer. I'll say I only understand iCustomer. I'm sorry. I just understand this. Okay. Now on runtime he can point towards, silver customer. Look at this. Can you see this? Getting it? Absolutely, yeah, that is right. You are right. So you can, but at this moment you can see, but okay, I know that we have not achieved real decoupling. What we have achieved, only the left hand side has changed, but the right hand side still, if I add a new type, I have to still say here new and do things, right? So really decoupling has not happened. What has happened, I'll say only the left hand side changes will not be changed, but still the right hand side I have to change, right? So said and done, yes, we have achieved till a certain level, but we have not achieved our actual goal. What is this termed as? When one object, on runtime can point towards different kinds of object is termed as, what is this termed as in object-oriented programming? Termed as polymorphism. Polymorphism means when an object on runtime can point towards different types of instances, by which it has inherited from or implemented from, is called as polymorphism. Look at the word polymorphism. Polymorphism says poly means many. Morph means says change. So depending on situation,
it can change your activity.
Yes, it can change his behavior. Okay, activity in behavior. So यहाँ पे, for example, the customer is a discounted customer, but on the second step he becomes a simple customer, right? But said and done that, still that big thing, decoupling is not achieved. Okay? Okay, so how do we do that? Okay. First problem, if you see, the biggest problem is this new keyword. I should somehow get rid of this. If I get rid of this, I'm able to achieve things, right? So I go back here, view, solution explorer, I add one more layer. This layer says, I will take the responsibility of creating the object. You don't do new keyword, right? And if you really ask me, the biggest problem of decoupling in this console application is, I should not have this reference. If I want real decoupling agar karna hai, I should not have this reference. What I should have reference of only? Interface. Then only real decoupling is happening. ठीक है? तो अभी जो हो रहा है, that is just illusion. आप बोल सकते हो. Okay? Fine. So I agree to that and I go and add one more project here called as factory. Why I'm saying factory? It's a typical project, factory, because he will be responsible to create these new objects, right? A factory creates new objects, right? So I'm going to go and name this class as factory. Okay, what this factory does, he references my customer and the interface. He references both of them.
But all the classes.
Oh, no, he will reference the strongly type object, जिसमें आपका gold customer, silver customer, and the interface. Are we getting? And I'll say customer. So now look at this. I'll say factory customer, and he will say a public. Sorry, look at this. I will I'll keep this thing for now. This will be interesting. Okay. Create. I'll tell you what I'm doing. Don't worry too much. Okay, there will be some errors here. Okay, so if I equal to 1, then I will say return new simple customer. Okay, or else return new discount customer. Now if you can see now
The same as old one.
same in the UI one. No, but see now here what I will do. This is interesting. You return a simple customer or you return a discounted customer, but the return type should always return over here. Polymorphism. If you ask me in object-oriented programming, there are two main pillars: interfaces and polymorphism. They are the base to achieve decoupling. अगर आपको decoupling करना है तो interface and polymorphism. So in the return type, rather than returning the strong type, I will return I customer. Absolutely. So I will say here I customer. Look at the beauty of this. Now my UI, my customer UI will point towards this create method, but he is only referencing I customer. He will just pass 1, 2, 3, and at the back end, who is responsible for creating the object? Factory. Okay. Chalo. So let us go one step ahead. Yes, go ahead.
If you will changes in create any new customer,
Right.
you must require to changes in factory.
Factory, absolutely. I will come to that also. Very good question. Okay. Means what you are saying is, वो if condition आपने यहाँ से निकाल के वहाँ डाला है sir. Actually, I got it. I got your point. Let us try to improve that as well. So at this point, what I'll do is I will go and first reference the factory. Can you see now? The beauty is that my UI is not referencing customer, strongly type object. Barabar? So that is good. So I will go here. I will say, okay, first thing is I don't need this anymore. I will say use.
When you create the factory, automatically will delete it.
Yeah. So now what will happen is, yeah, see this magic. It's not a magic, means factory. Magic तो कुछ होता नहीं है. So obj is equal to new factory customer. Okay, I will say I is equal to obj dot create. What do you want?
Method.
हाँ, आपको अगर आप 1 दोगे तो आपको कुछ मिलेगा. If you give 0, you will get a gold customer. If you give 1, so the good part now is this 1, 0 and everything can come from config file. It can come from a drop down. So in my UI now,
So
there is nothing to be manual to be done. Come back to our factory. Here things are difficult. Okay, but let me tell you first thing. Your customer library will be consumed by 10-15 consumers. Yeah, go ahead.
it's still required to remember all the words, just like simple customer tell you one gold.
Yes, yeah, you have to remember something. But see, the point is, these values 1, 2
Oh, they come from the
come from config file, come from UI. So there, a person will go in the XML and change the values, or he will go to a parameter table and he will change the values. आप समझ रहे हो? I got your point. कि ये मुझे 1, 2, see the 1, 2 you don't have to remember. That will be configuration. It will be configuration. What I'm saying is, but I don't have to say if and new and this, right? Now think about, these guys are all consumers. A console application, Windows form, some other code, they're all consumers. Now think about this situation. Okay. So if you see now, these classes, okay, they can be consumed. These classes can be consumed from 10-15 clients. Could be console application, yeah, some other place. But where I have to make change at only one place. What is that? Factory. Factory will inform all the consumers. So what has happened is, where there were 10 changes, which will happen now, only one changing happening. See now, abhi kya ho raha hai? Now you are saying ki, acha, this is only one client, but I can have different clients. I can have some other places of the code which is consuming the customer, but they also don't have to change now. They will also call the factory. Okay. Now coming to this situation, where you are saying that, sir, I have to still write the if condition. Can I please remove that if condition? And that's what we term it as RIP pattern. RIP means remove your if with polymorphism. When you see too many if conditions, अगर आपने बहुत सारी if conditions आप देख रहे हो in your program, then that means the polymorphism is not used properly. First thing, there should be polymorphism. For example, यहाँ पे you can see polymorphism, right?
यहाँ पे polymorphism है, लेकिन polymorphism use तो नहीं हुआ.
Yep, polymorphism is used, but I am saying that this if condition can be replaced with polymorphism. How? As follows. So I can say here, create a list of I customer. Can you see? Customer is equal to new list of I customer. And in the constructor, what I'll do is I'll say cust.add new simple customer. Cust.add new क्या था वो? Discounted customer. Now I don't need this if condition. What I can just say यहाँ पे return yes cust of getting it. Now if I call with 1 it will come like this. If I call with 2 it is come. You can see now this is what is.
How to constructor know that
Which one?
Is the required?
Which one? Yes.
Here we will send 1.
1.
वहाँ पे कैसे?
No, this because it's a list, right? So this first by value this becomes 0 indexed. This becomes 1. Getting it? Okay. So you can see now that's what I was saying. Rip pattern. Replace if with polymorphism. When you see there is polymorphism happening, यहाँ पे polymorphism हो रहा है. You know, my I customer. Okay, too many chats here. I'm just going to close this. My I customer. Okay, let me exit from this Telegram. My I customer on runtime is pointing towards simple customer or gold customer. If this is a situation, you don't need a if condition. If you see polymorphism, list बना के you can return it. Okay, and as you said, you don't want to use 0 1. You want to say S for simple and D for discount. Configuration, or you can make this as a dictionary. Dictionary करोगे तो उसमें आप parameter भी डाल सकते हो, key डाल सकते हो, right? Right. So
मतलब जो ड्रॉप डाउन डालेगा तो जो होता है बाय वैल्यू ड्रॉप डाउन का वैल्यू होता है.
हाँ, yes, हाँ, मतलब नहीं. अब जैसे एग्जांपल यहाँ पे I am returning by using 0 and 1, right? Let us say I want कि नहीं, I want this to be a string. हाँ, मतलब S for simple, you know, कोई रहते हैं ना, like, so in that case you will create a list with a dictionary. Okay. So that means just summarizing क्या मतलब है पूरा चीज का. Interfaces, the main goal of interface is decoupling, decoupling, decoupling and decoupling. Second, in order to achieve decoupling, you have to use interfaces as well as you need a separate class called as factory. Third point is very important is when you see polymorphism and if you see if condition, that means it is a sign of a bad code. So you can replace the if condition by putting a collection like this. Did we get the importance of interface? Chalo, nice, thank you.